Hi, I'm Chris.
And I'm Wendy.
And welcome to the Toasted Marshmallow Adventures Podcast. Tonight via Zoom, we have... there we go. We have comedian Ed Hill with us. Just to get the business side out of the way a little bit here, you have dates at the Lounge at the End of the Universe in Boise, Idaho, April 7th, 8th, and 9th at 7 p.m. And you'll be able to get there'll be a link for tickets in the show notes. So check that out. Welcome, Ed. Thank you for being here tonight.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Hi, Chris. Hi, Wendy. Nice to see you guys.
Nice to see you. Nice to meet you. Thank you for doing the podcast tonight. So first off, let's talk about...
Well, I want to know, have you been to Boise? Have you been to the Lounge?
I've been to Boise quite a few times. I think the Lounge is new, so I don't think I've ever been to the Lounge.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Last time I was in Boise was 3 years ago. I mean, I haven't been anywhere for the last 2 years.
Right.
Yeah. So it's pre-pandemic then?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Were you doing a show here?
I was at the comedy club that was in town. I don't think that exists anymore.
Oh,
Liquid Laughs, probably.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. Sweet. So you haven't been back since? You've been just quarantined kind of the last 2
I have been in this room.
That room right there. And where are you? What part of the country do you live in?
I'm in Vancouver, British Columbia. Actually, I'm Canadian, so I'm in Canada right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember seeing stuff about that. I didn't know you live there currently. Sweet.
I love all the things on the shelf above you, the soft things.
I thought I had a lot of stuff. I'm looking at your backdrop.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
We overload things constantly. Yeah. Can we add another thing?
Stuffed animals. I got a bunch of vinyl figures. Those are all manga comic books. So I've
wow.
I know the internet exists. When I moved last time, the movers like, hey, there's this thing called the internet. You just go on I'm like, yes, I am fully aware of the internet. Yeah. But I've always collected manga since I was a kid. My dad bought me my first collection, just a way to get me reading.
Oh,
and
cool.
so I've been
and it worked.
Yeah, it worked pretty well.
Nice.
I can read, but I can decipher a receipt because it just keeps spending money.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So I heard recently, I think it might have been on the Pete and Sebastian show, that stuffed animals now are called stuffies.
Yeah.
Have you heard this term?
Yeah, well, I think it's always been called stuffies.
Oh, really?
I have no idea.
Oh, we always called them stuffed animals, but
yeah.
Some are not animals now because they make stuffies for you can get like bubble tea stuffies and things that are not animals.
Oh, yeah. True.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so that cancels that out.
Yeah, there you go. So I wanted to first off talk about your special.
Which we watched.
Yeah, we watched it last night. And a very different than any other probably stand-up special that I've seen. Now, it was kind of like, I think one description I saw of it was kind of like a support group setting. Was that specifically just because of the pandemic?
Yeah, I mean, I think in the preamble of the special it said, I was supposed to film it and then a lockdown. So it wasn't supposed to be in this format. It was supposed to be the theater, like most comedy specials. But as we know, during the lockdown, nothing was happening. Yeah. And we actually postponed it when we first was shooting it. We thought, we'll just do it later in the fall. And then summer rolled around. We're like, I don't think this thing is ending anytime soon. So we had to go back to the drawing board with the executive team and go, well, what do we do now?
Right.
And so we came with this idea of the story circle, which is, being employed in many different formats from AA to support groups to so on and so forth. But I just thought it was a neat idea to, because I can only have so many people and they're all people from my life.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought using that format, and then I think it really captured actually the emotions of the time we're in. I think if I actually did a regular show, it would have been kind of strange because that's not what we're all experiencing at that time. So
yeah, it really did capture it kind of in your gut at times. It was definitely a different.
Yeah, definitely really like raw.
Intense.
Yeah.
at
kind of
times.
thing.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, definitely some like really funny times in there. One thing I want to talk to you about is has your dad ever explained why he named himself Smiley?
Well, he just thought it was a happy-go-lucky name that's friendly, and I don't think he thought too much about it.
Yeah.
It's not a good idea. It's never.
Yeah. Well, and you
He
said
doesn't seem like
never
he
smiles.
is that guy. So.
Hey, he's not a very smiley guy, so I don't know. I mean, every plumber or every person who ever serviced the house remembers him. It's like, oh, it's Smiley, because they're like, who the hell would name himself Smiley?
Yeah. Yeah.
So when they walked out at the end of the special, did you have any idea how that was going to go? Had they watched you perform and talk about them, or were they off in the wings?
never been to a show before. This is actually, of all the shows, the first time they came to. And it's interesting that it's the format that's in that they actually attended. So they actually don't know what a real comedy show looks like because they've never been to one. Still, to this day.
Really? Wow.
And it was interesting because when they're entering the circle, well, first when I talked to my dad, I say, hey, I would like you to be part of this experience that's coming up, part of the filming. His first question was, where's my contract?
Oh, geez.
For real?
I was like, Dad, do you want to come or not? Just I need a yes or no. He's like, fine, I'll be there. Just tell me what time. I'm not gonna stay all night. I'm like, it's just okay, fine. So when they're entering the circle, for some reason they just cannot walk at the same pace. The director is like, let's do it again. You guys have been married for like 35 years and you can't walk next to each other for like 3 yards. Like, what is happening here? And so they finally got their pace together and they can walk in the circle, next to each other. And then the director yells, cut. And we're like, oh, what is it now? So he goes up to my dad. He's like, hey, Smiley, can you just look at least a little bit proud of your son? And then he throws his hands up in the air. He's like, I don't know how to do that. You got me walking the same pace. That's good enough. That's all I'm going to do.
Wow.
Jeez.
Yeah. My mom was super excited. She was very into it. Before I even asked her, she's like, yeah, I'm coming. I was like, I didn't ask you. She's like, well, your dad's coming. Why aren't I coming? I was going to ask her anyways. And then when it did come out, the special, she asked me for the link right away and stuff like that. So I sent it to her. And then she sent me a message back. She's like, I'm just going to fast forward to the part when I'm on screen. I'm like, touche, Mom.
You didn't even watch it.
That's hilarious.
To see yourself.
And did you time when your brother called?
No, those are all I put those in that format. Is they weren't actually late. Everybody was there. So I just set it up so my cousin entered and my brother entered.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Just to capture, because usually when people gather in my family, that's what happens. Like nobody shows up at the same time.
Right.
So I kind of want to, depict that idea of, the circle kind of comes complete in the end. And everyone kind of comes at their own pace.
Okay. Gotcha. Because I was like, that was so well timed. Like the phone rings. I was like, how did they know he was not telling a joke right then?
Well, I mean, that's the thing with semi-live performance is we can do things like that. So if it's a true live show in the theater, obviously that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Now, did you do the same set you were going to do for your special that was supposed to be filmed?
So pretty much everything in it is what I was going to do originally. The only difference was the ending. I decided not to end on a laugh. The ending was supposed to be a callback, and I made the decision to end on a, almost a, just a conclusionary tone, because it just seems weird to end on a laugh, in a time like this. And so that's the only decision I made. And I don't think the crew know that. I don't think the people in the audience knew that. I don't think anybody knew that's the way I'm going to end it. Only I knew that. Right. And at the end of the filming, actually, everybody in the crew cried, which is kind of interesting. Everyone cried at a comedy special.
That's why you got an NPR award. You made people cry.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did you feel when it was completed? Or how many times did you do it actually? Was it a one time, one and done?
Yeah, it's only it's a one take thing, other than my parents can't get their pacing together.
Right.
So that was like 7 takes. Um, but everything was one take except the very first 12 minutes. The reason for that is because the 12 minutes you see in the special is actually not the first take. The first version of the 12 minutes is actually very intense because nobody knew what the show was going to be like.
Okay.
Everyone did not know the vibe. So what you're seeing in the first 12 minutes is actually people already acquainted themselves to the vibe.
Right.
And the reason why we redid the first 12 minutes is because there's a stupid fly that came in the film set and it was flying everywhere.
Oh, geez.
And the director had to cut. I was like, why are we cutting? Like we are, everyone is in the zone. And he's like, well, there's a fly. And I was like, can we edit out a fly? And he was looking at the footage like, there's no way, Ed. That fly's in every single corner of your footage.
Oh, geez.
So take 2 for the fly. So how did you feel when it was completed? Was it something you felt inside, or was it the same as, I don't know.
Yeah, I think as much as was a difficult process and, it's definitely not the way I want to do it. I definitely want to do it again that way. But I think there's a part of me that kind of, I'm thankful for the way it turned out, because I've always had this difficulty of trying to be me. Like I always had this, I feel like I need to be somebody else for people to like me. And then this experience was like, I can only be me. There's no other way. Because
right.
I don't have the context to be somebody else, right? There's no theater, there's no audience.
Yeah.
You got to be you. That's all you got. So I'm kind of thankful for that. So that sort of transformed, how I approach my material now. It's more, I don't chase the laughs. I actually listen for the silence.
Oh.
So that's what I realized as I finished the taping, is this part of me that will never be the same again. And it's not that, I lost something, is actually now I become a new person. So that's what I realized was the difference.
Wow. Awesome. That's a cool thing to come away with.
Yeah.
Now, was it, because I know if I did the same thing that you did, I would be extremely uncomfortable. Did you have that feeling, or what was your feeling during the taping?
I wouldn't say I was just uncomfortable. I think it was heavy. It was kind of, you can cut the air like with a knife.
Yeah.
And I wasn't necessarily uncomfortable because I'm being me. So how can
Yeah, true.
I'm not comfortable being me, and this whole thing wouldn't matter. But I think part of it was very different, and I felt different, and it was definitely not, usually after comedy shows, there's that sense of lightness that I perform, and it was good to see the people. After that taping it was almost like I finished something that needs to be done.
Oh, interesting.
It's almost like I graduated rather than there's a comedy show. So it's a very strange feeling.
Yeah.
Now, how is that special, because it is so different, like received by other comedians?
I've got quite a few messages from both audiences and comedians. People enjoyed it. Like had a few people email me, said they cried. So fits the theme. So
yeah, mission accomplished.
It's the theme of what happened during the taping. So yeah, people tend to be pretty receptive about it. So I'm grateful that people.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was intense.
Yeah, it was different than any other comedy special I've seen, but it's gotten a lot of, I was looking at your website, a lot of accolades for it. And people are loving it, and it was like kind of just this whole new perspective of, like, I guess how it was presented, stand-up comedy, and it's kind of just really different.
Definitely kind of fit the times.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, ironically, you also fit the background of my culture because
Yeah.
I'm from Taiwan, and then Taipei. The nickname for Taipei is Tragic City. It's
Oh,
this
Oh,
wow.
idea that we are a nation of tragedy. And there's been a lot of colonization, a lot of conflict, which the conflict still continues to today. With the nation across the Taiwan Strait with China, and with the Ukraine conflict, it kind of brought
Right.
that to light as to is democracy of Taiwan under threat. Um, so that it's always there's always been this sense of melancholy and bittersweetness to the Taiwanese story. So I'm happy that disabled the special actually capture that pretty well. That's the story of our people. We don't our story's never happy go lucky or it's not never a heroic story. It's more of a melancholic a tragedy in some
Oh,
sense.
wow.
mhm.
Yeah. You definitely captured that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, you competed in Taiwan Fest, is that correct?
Oh, you mean participation in Taiwan Fest?
Yeah, yeah. What is that exactly?
It's the largest uh I'm gonna botch the name, and the director is gonna kill me. Um what's it? Asia Canadian something cultural association. I'm totally botching this, but it's the
Okay.
biggest festival in Vancouver and Toronto, where it celebrates the cross-cultural identities between Taiwan and Canada. And one thing they do actually is every year they will highlight another nation and kind of tell their story and link how Taiwan's story kind of links to that. So last year I believe was Korea, and this year I believe is Indonesia.
Oh,
And just
cool.
able to highlight different cultures and then show the diversity that we have in North America. So it's actually quite a cool experience. So I had a chance to perform last year as part of the festival for the first time. They never had comedy before.
Mhm.
So I mean, we only could have, I think, half capacity. So
Oh, yeah.
it is what it is. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's quite an honor to be part of that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Now in Taiwan, is stand-up comedy, is it not a thing there, or is what
Yeah,
how
so stand-up comedy in Taiwan is actually pretty new.
okay.
I tour Asia once a year. I mean, before the pandemic, I haven't been there for 3 years either.
Mhm.
So there's Singapore, there's Malaysia, there's Japan, and Hong Kong, and so on and so forth. So it's still relatively new on that side of the world. They're definitely catching up.
Mhm.
So Taipei now has got its own dedicated comedy club called 2-3 Comedy. Used to be called Live Comedy Club, I believe, in the past. So you can definitely see that in both languages, English and Mandarin, which is the language they speak over there. That it's really starting to catch up. People are starting to embrace the art form, and it's crazy. The audience love it because I think in North America we're kind of so used to it. I was like, yeah, it's fine. We just can watch it anytime, right? For them, it's
Right.
so new. They're like, oh, let's go watch stand up. This doesn't happen often.
Yeah. Now, when you perform over there, do you do it in English or do you do it in Mandarin?
I do in English, yeah. So they asked me to do a whole new show in Mandarin. I'm like, I don't have the time.
I can't do
I
it.
don't want to do a whole hour just for this venue. That seems a little silly. Yeah.
True.
And
Yeah.
it's such an international city now. Everyone speaks English, and it's mandatory. They learn in high school. So why would
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So now, as far as in relation to stand-up comedy, but did Taiwan, prior to stand-up comedy kind of becoming more of a thing there, did you have like comedy movies and television shows and stuff like that?
yeah, improv and more comedic like theater performance was more familiar to them there. So yeah, so when I first went over there to perform, I actually performed a lot of improv theaters, and the improv artists would come out and stuff like that.
Oh,
um
okay.
yeah, and then it's funny because audience member kind of expect improv is like, well, this guy is not talking to us at all. he's just he's just talking about his stuff. Yeah, so I mean they're familiar with improv. I think that has a longer history there than stand up.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then now, so when you perform there in English, you're performing to people their first language would probably be Mandarin. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, the audience is usually half-half. There's a lot of expats that's there too. So,
Okay.
a lot of Americans, Canadians, British, Australian people there, either there to teach English or American military bases that's there. There's actually this very interesting. I don't know if you guys know this. There's a section of Taipei called Tianmu, and what it is, it used to be American base. So since the Americans have left, but a lot of people remain there to live there. So if you walk, so literally you walk a block in, and it looks like Los Angeles. Okay. It's just everything's English. They got all the American stores and restaurants and stuff like that. You see white kids walking down the street, going to school. You're like, did I just end up back in the States all of a sudden? Yeah, it was very, and everybody speaks English. Is very surreal because and my wife went there for the first time. She's like, "What just happened?"
Yeah, it's some kind of time thing.
Yeah, it's like, are we back home?
Yeah.
Wow.
Jeez. Huh. Yeah, I never knew that.
No.
Now, do you change your sets from United States to Asian countries?
No, because my material, you guys probably seen the specials about me. So I made that decision very early on in my career. I'm just gonna talk about me because I don't change. Doesn't matter where I go. So then,
I see.
Automatically universal. I'm not gonna be a different person just because who I am. So that's why it makes it easier. I'm not very good at observational comedy anyways. So I decided I'd venture down that road. You ask me for an opinion for anything, and I'm just like, I don't know.
Oh, can we get to your nickname from your brother Henry, or is that too soon?
Oh, Edward the Penis Guy?
Yes.
Yeah, he came up with it.
How do you get that in what age?
Yeah.
I think I was 16. He was 11. And as an older brother, I used to pick on him all the time, right? So one day he just came up with this amazing nickname. Just call me Edward the Penis Guy. And then I was so mad. And he's like, and then he would go, how artists, musicians will have EPs.
Yeah.
Right. So he would go look for EPs. Look, you're so famous. You're Edward the Penis Guy on all these artists, musicians' albums. Like, I hate you.
He's 11.
I know.
Oh my God.
And I try to call him Henry the Penis Guy. It's not the same.
Yeah. That's funny. Sheesh. So was your upbringing really strict, and if so, is that standard for Taiwan?
I mean, my parents are highly educated. So my dad is a doctor, and my mom, she was a real estate agent before she became a homemaker. So they're professionals, and so and I think part of the immigrant experience is they want you to succeed.
Yeah.
Right? They want you to, be the best of whatever you do, and then your child ends up doing stand-up comedy. And,
of course, yeah, that makes sense.
So they were definitely very success driven, and and there was, I mean, by the time I was 16, I had a performance degree in piano. I had to practice piano 3 hours a day, every day until I was, around 17. And that's when I'm like, I finished this. This is done. I beat the boss. On to the next. But I can definitely, I mean, at that time as a kid, you don't understand. You're like, why are all my friends having a great time? I'm doing this. But now thinking back, I'm like, it's actually, they're just wanting you to be able to survive, but you have a skill,
right,
that you can utilize later on in your life. Because once you get older, it's just too late, right? You don't have the time or the resource and effort to do so. So I see where they're coming from.
So you're grateful-ish? I mean,
I'm thankful. Would I do that to my kids? I don't know.
That was my next question. If you have children, or would you act the same?
I mean, I think there would definitely be a certain aspect expectation is you got to do something. You can't do nothing. But as long as you do something, whatever you do, it's up to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I think one thing that my parents did do, and they probably very bad at saying this or translating this, whatever it may be, because just their upbringing, is they always believed in this. Is that they
nice.
never had a moment of doubt that we will.
Well, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, be
That's
independent
huge.
and do what we need to do. Yeah.
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 Yeah. So do you still play?
I do, yeah. I still play the piano. I enjoy it now. I didn't enjoy it when I
Yeah.
learned it. I hated it. But now you're older, you're like, oh, this is kind of cool. I actually kind of like it.
Yeah.
I'm glad I know how to do it.
Yeah. Jeez. So how many years of lessons did you have?
I started when I was 6 and I finished when I was like 17.
Oh, okay. So you were pretty good.
Every single day. Yeah. You know, and I have some tough teachers. I had teachers used to hit my knuckles with a drumstick. My mom used to put a knife underneath my wrist so I don't, because the piano, you got to keep your wrist up. You can't like slump wrist. So she used to put a knife under my wrist so I don't drop and cut. I mean, I'm pretty sure she did it just as a scare tactic because I'm going to cut me.
You're serious?
Yeah.
Yeah, jeez.
Yeah.
They're old school tactics.
Yes.
Yeah, it was baptism through fire, I'll tell you that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to know what Kumon is.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have that there. Some you know, it's some cities in the States have it too. I think it's worldwide. So Kumon is like a math school you go after school. It's like an after school program where you I think now they have like everything. They have math, physics, chemistry, whatever you want. They will teach you. So it's kind of like this program. I think it started in Japan, where you go and you get a worksheet and you kind of have to learn on your own how to do these math problems, and you got to repeat, and there's different levels. So you become very good at math very quickly because you can do it every day, and it's basically, you know, child abuse.
I was going to say torture, but okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so I did that, you know. I got into it because my mom's friend brought Kumon to Vancouver. So Kumon was in Vancouver yet, and she was going to open the first franchise. And, you know, we're at the house, and my mom was like, hey, you want to come downstairs and just try this thing? I was like, okay. I was like, do I have? She said, no, we're just trying it. You know, just helping my friend. And then I tried it, and I did it for like 10 years. I was like, how is this? This is a total scam.
Yeah.
Right.
We're just trying it.
Yeah. Jeez.
But you're really great at math now, or?
I kind of quit before I, you know, got into the senior year of my high school. So I mean, I'm okay. I'm not great. I'm not like a math whiz. I never liked it.
Yeah.
It just makes you very good at finding ways to cheat. You gotta do it so much.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's Kumon. I'm sure there's a lot of kids out there that are doing Kumon that can tell you how they feel. We all feel the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So you mentioned before we started that you have a new special coming out.
I'm currently working towards the second one. I'm hoping to film at the end of the year. I don't have the details yet, so we're trying to finalize that. But if this and when Boise, you get to see the new hour that I'm working on. So I'm hoping to run it in Boise.
Oh, cool.
Oh, nice.
It's a brand new hour that's completely different than what you saw on Amazon. So yeah, totally bring this new show to everybody.
Yeah, and now where can people see? Now you have the your special Candy and Smiley. That's on Amazon Prime, correct? Mm-hmm. Where can people see other clips and stuff of your stand up?
Yeah, you can just go to my website. It's kingedhill.com. There's quite a few. All my TV appearances are on there. So links to all my social media, YouTube pages, stuff like that. I am not a king by any shape or form. It's just there's a street in Vancouver called King Edward, and I thought it'd be hilarious in the beginning of my career to name my website King Ed Hill. People are like, oh, it's like King Edward. And then I realized most people don't live in Vancouver on this planet. Yeah, it's not like a pompous ass. Like, this guy thinking he's a king. I'm like, okay, it was funny to me.
It was funny.
Jeez. And now, is there a reason why you picked the name Ed Hill? I mean, I know Ed was
we
your
live
first
on the hill.
name.
I mean, we've always lived on the hill. We lived in the hill in Taiwan, lived the hill in Vancouver. So I just picked Hill. No other consideration past that.
Wow. That's funny.
Yeah. Jeez. And now, I think in your special you said your real name was Edward Chang.
Yeah.
And Chen, CHEN, yeah, which is a
Oh,
very
Chen.
common last name. And I think it's like the second most common last name in Taiwan, which again is a terrible business decision to go with that name, because you Google it, you're gonna find doctors and professors and
Yeah.
all these more successful people. So
Yeah, exactly.
you're never gonna find me. So that's and it's quite interesting because I met a lot of Ed Hills in my touring, and they're mostly not Asian, and so makes a good conversation.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about this?
Yeah, let's talk about that. We want to get your thoughts and opinions on
The slap.
the Will Smith slap.
Will Smith slap.
Yes.
Were you watching? Did you even know the Oscars were occurring?
I did not watch the Oscars.
We didn't
I
either.
find it very boring. I'm like, I don't
know.
care. I just figure out, and all the films that usually win are the films I don't watch. So
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, we're those people that if there hadn't been a slap, we probably wouldn't have known that
Yeah.
the Oscars occurred.
Yeah.
So, but do you have a take?
Yeah. I saw on Twitter, and then somebody, I'm sure a friend of mine messaged me and stuff like that, and my brother messaged me. First of all, I initially when I look at it, I thought that was a publicity stunt, and then I think,
Yeah.
to be honest, what was more concerning to me wasn't the slap. I mean, the slap, obviously, it's not, kosher. Obviously, it's assault.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't staged. It was actually what followed is keep my wife's name out of your effing mouth. You said it twice. I think that's when people clued in, was this wasn't staged. This wasn't a haha moment. And I think that was more concerning to me because there seems to be a more it's like an emotional experience that Will couldn't control.
Mm-hmm.
And that was definitely because they could have easily played it up, right? The slap, and they kind of like, oh, this is the whole thing that we did and stuff like that. Because everybody thought it was his gag.
Yeah.
He could have just sat back down and pointed at him, the thing, and then they can settle after, right?
Yeah.
So I mean,
the fact that it continued when he sat down and said it twice.
Yeah,
it was pretty intense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Then he won an Oscar afterwards.
Yeah.
His first one.
I don't know.
Have you ever has anybody ever come up at you on stage?
I mean, it's funny because the reporters asked the other day about I've done shows where I've done shows in the South. The audience members were it was a good group of the KKK members in the crowd. So it was very uncomfortable. I've done shows where the Vagos motorcycle game showed up, which is a rival to the Hells Angels, and their game colors was green, and I wore green shoes like an idiot that day. I didn't know they were gonna be there.
Well, yeah.
And then I got on stage like, we like your shoes. I'm like, you can have it after I'm done. I
Right.
don't want these shoes. Just don't.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Please.
Those guys with like knife scars across their face, missing a leg here and there.
Oh.
I was like, yo, these are not friendly folks.
No.
And it was like, and then I'm glad they enjoy the show, but if I wasn't funny, I think it would have been a different outcome.
Yeah.
I've definitely had people storm the stage before, usually because they're drunk. So they can't contain their emotions very well, and they think what I'm saying is about them. It's not. And then kind of management has to get in between and stuff like that. So
Wow.
yeah, it's just I think one concern that all comics have is that we hope that this doesn't set a precedent where people can just kind of storm the stage, and if they
I
don't
was
Correct.
thinking that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
slap you or put a bullet through you,
Just because
that type
they
of thing. Yeah.
didn't like what you said.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking that today. Like, I hope this doesn't become a thing, because that seems like so much of what's happening now. People are seeing this kind of shitty behavior, on TV or online, and then they're just emulating it. And I was like, I hope this isn't a thing with comedy, you know, where comedians are starting to be, you know, scared of telling jokes. You know, I think it could, you know, just be a really bad thing for comedy in general and stand-up comedy.
Yeah, I mean, this is, you know, I think stand-up is one of those things that, you know, because sometimes I'll see in the green room with comics, and sometimes, you know, shows are not well attended for whatever reason. You know, sometimes comedians would complain, right? They'd be like, okay, why are we doing this? This is stupid, yada yada. And I sometimes had to remind myself and remind them, is that, you know, what we're doing is ridiculous, right? Like, people are coming to watch you say whatever you want, and you're being paid for it. This is a absolutely unreal concept. This is freedom at its peak.
Yeah.
Because you can't, half the world, you can't do this. You end up dead, or you end up, you know, imprisoned, and, you know, you can't. We're doing this, and, you know, and we're getting paid for it. Like, we actually get compensated for doing something that people would dream of doing just for free. So you know, it's definitely, you know, it's concerning when somebody slaps you, and especially a public figure. Because it's, you know, this could easily be a police officer with a baton on the other side of the world.
Yeah,
definitely
true.
Yeah. So so no one's ever gotten to you on the stage then, people that have rushed the stage?
No, fortunately not. Yeah. So
okay, that's good.
What would you do? Do you think?
Knock on wood. I don't.
Yeah, exactly.
Yet.
Are you a fighter?
Would you?
Am I a fighter? No, definitely
not. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Neither am I. So no shame in not being a fighter. Good. So let's see. You're coming to Boise, Idaho.
Next week.
That's next week. Do we know if we're going to that show next week?
We haven't even looked at next week.
We got to look at our calendar. Oh my God.
Yes, 7, 8, 9, 7 p.m. Okay. Awesome. Yeah.
Those are our times. We are old, and we don't like the 9 p.m. start times.
Yeah, 9 p.m. is rough.
I feel you.
Yes.
How much traveling do you normally do for stand-up? Are you getting back into it more now?
Yeah, I mean, last 2 years, obviously, there's very sparse. But now I'm basically on the road every weekend in a different city until the end of October. So, I think I'm getting old. It's because just be able to do this
at
without
36?
Being tired, and
You're
now
36?
I'm exhausted all the time. I just turned. I'm turning 38 in about.
Nice!
In about 5 days. So.
Happy birthday!
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah.
I just got a note on a tablet that says, "Quit saying that I'm old," with a shit ton of exclamation points after it.
Yes, because he keeps including me in his "we're old," and I'm like, I'm not doing that, dude. If you want to be old, that's fine. If you want to be old, that's fine. But I'm not old.
I'm getting old, which is true because we're all getting old.
My grandma was like 98 when she's like, Wendy, I finally feel old. So I am going for that feeling. Like, I'm not feeling old until I'm 98. And then it was, she was done. But
I call it, I just tell people I'm half dead.
30, almost 38.
Yeah.
No.
I'm halfway done.
I only say it jokingly, but you know, I think Bruce Lee said the universe does not understand sarcasm.
That's right. So I don't even want him to put it out there with me in mind. If you're talking about yourself, that's fine.
Well, we were, my wife and I were talking to a financial advisor the other day, and he was doing like all these projections about, you know, and he's like, well, let's set your age to 90. I'm like, dude, thank you, but I don't know if I'm going to live to 90. Like, are you sure?
Right.
90?
And I'll have how much, and what are we gonna do with it then, honey?
Yeah, I can't pinpoint anybody in my family who lived to 90. So I don't know how you think I'm gonna be the combo breaker here. So, but thank you.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, jeez.
Sheesh.
So, is your parents' house where all the toilet paper went at the beginning of the pandemic?
My dad has had toilet paper years before the pandemic occurred. So this is how I don't want to say paranoid because he turned out to be correct in the end.
Yeah.
So it's like all his
He was
paranoia
right.
confirmed. He bought the same car that was in the movie 2012 because the end of the world movie 2012.
Yeah.
Right.
So he bought the same car because he's like, hey, look, that car survived the apocalypse. So he bought the exact same car, same color, same model, everything.
Oh, jeez.
He ordered just toilet paper, shampoo. There's a room in his house right now that's just all shampoo.
Oh, shampoo.
It's like literally a fire hazard. And there's just thousands of the same thing over and over. And then I asked him every time, like, Dad, what do we need this? He's like, well, because it never expires. I'm like, yeah, but we do. We expire.
Right.
Like, we're never gonna get to use this. But but then the pandemic happened. He's like, I told you, look, I have everything.
I'm all set.
Yeah.
Now, is he stockpiling any food or just toiletries?
It's just mostly things that doesn't like non-perishable. So like toilet paper, shampoo. He's got like masks. He had masks even before masks were a thing.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Everyone's looking for like what is it, N95 mask?
Yeah.
And he's just like, I have 500. I'm like, what the hell is happening? Why do you have this?
Yeah, jeez.
He's like, I knew the day was coming. I'm like, what do you watch on YouTube?
Wow.
So he had the toilet paper and the masks.
Yeah, he has like, bags. He has so many like bags. So in case you need to, put things in bags and run, like transport bags. Yeah, he's just got everything. He's like cleaning supplies, everything.
Wow.
Yeah, every time we need something, we tell him like, hey, we gotta go buy something. He just like, I got it. Like,
yeah. What are you even thinking? I got you for several years.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Now, are you doing anything other than stand-up? Do you do acting, commercials, or things like that?
I try. I'm not a very good actor. I can't be anybody other than myself. So I get auditions and I try them out. I do I have a few podcasts I'm running.
Oh
So I do a few podcasts and then I do a lot of writing. So I'm more I enjoy the process of writing more than actually reading a script. So I like writing the script rather than reading the script.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
More
What are your podcasts?
Yeah, so I have a podcast I do. It's a weekly podcast. I say weekly. It's not super weekly these days. Like,
Yeah, we understand.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been doing weekly for the last 4 years, so it's just the last few months kind of more sporadic. It's called the Son of Smiley podcast. It's really a podcast, and I keep it short. So I do this a little different than the other podcasts, which is usually an hour, half an hour. My podcasts are 10 minutes or 12 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, I
we did
looked
for
that
a
up.
while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just tell a story either from my childhood or my life with the people in my life that either I've learned or something I want to remember. I actually started the podcast so I don't forget these moments in my life. So I actually did it for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to have a verbal diary as to the things happen so I don't forget it. And then turns out people were interested in it. They're listening to it. I had some gentleman came up to me the other day. He's, I work in a hospital. I really enjoy your podcast. It's nice and short, so I can listen to it before I go see a patient and after a patient.
Nice.
So I got a 10-minute break, that type of thing. I was, oh, thank you. Yeah.
So do you try and make them funny or is it just real?
I mean, a lot of things we talk about are kind of, they're real, but they're bizarre. Like, I don't know how this happens. Just strange things happen to me all the time. So I kind of talk about it and I reflect on a little bit. So, I don't try to be funny, but they just end up being interesting. And
okay. I'm going to have to listen to that. Yeah, because I looked at it and saw that the episodes were, like 8 to 10 minutes. And I was really curious. I started listening to one, then I ended up having to go back to work, and so I didn't finish listening to it at all. So I got to get back to it. Now, you said you have a few podcasts?
Yeah, so there's a few other ones that there's one called Model Mythology, which a friend of mine, currently it's on season 1, where we interview different Asian Americans or Asian Canadians. And the idea is that there's this model minority myth that's out there for Asians. So it's kind of a podcast where we explore the struggles and successes of every single. There's no one way to be an Asian person, basically.
Right.
And then we ask people bring in we ask them, if you were become a myth 1,000 years from now, what object will represent you? So we have them present the object in the beginning. We don't talk about the object, and we kind of talk about their story, and then we come back in the end to see how their story is summarized by the object. And it's very profound, where some people will bring in like a news article or a shoe, and you're like, how does that
right?
Yeah.
And then in the end, you're like, oh, that makes total sense. If you were myth, that's definitely who you would be, and that's the object that you would be, right? So yeah, so that's the other podcast that we have going.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
What would you bring?
I
would probably
something very young.
What?
What's that?
You bring something young, not old.
Yeah. Right.
A baby something.
A TikTok account. There we go.
Oh, yeah. Well, I have one, but it's only got 4 posts.
I think I would either bring in, but it would be totally obvious. I'd probably either bring a snowboard or like a microphone.
Yeah.
Something like that. So yeah, no mystery there. What that means.
All right, we have 3 minutes.
3 minutes for what?
Countdown.
Oh,
yeah.
Snap.
Get everything we want out of Ed Hill.
All right. Now this is in your notes that you made. You're allergic to alcohol, marijuana, and nicotine. Like anaphylactic
and metal.
And metal?
Yeah, I can't touch metal. I get blisters if I touch metal.
So that was true.
Yeah, my glasses are plastic. I never wear a belt because the belt buckle gives me blisters and stuff like that. Yeah, that's why I don't wear a wedding ring. I actually have a wedding ring. It's made of onyx, so it's a stone, but it started chipping because obviously if it's not metal, it's not very strong. So I'm pretty sure it's bad luck if your ring breaks.
Yeah, it could be.
I'm gonna put a safety deposit box rather than wear all the time.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm allergic to all that stuff, and I didn't know I was allergic to all of it until I went to Allergist. And it's very interesting because they do they kind of prick your arm with all the different samples. And he came back, he's like, you're allergic to everything. I'm like, what? And then he's like, there's no way, you'd be dead. So you look, there's a control on your wrist that he uses, which is he just pricks you with water. And I had a reaction to that too. And he's like, I think you're allergic to the needle that pricks you.
Wow.
Oh.
So I'm allergic to the metal, and also found out I'm allergic to all the other stuff. So.
But fine with grass and pollen. Are you?
Yeah, my dad's allergic to that. So.
Okay.
He it's so bad that he can't sleep some nights. He just can't breathe because of it. So. Yeah. I got the other half. So.
Yeah.
And peanuts.
No peanuts. I can have peanuts. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Well,
my
that's
brother's
a plus.
allergic to rice. Isn't that?
What?
You're allergic to rice?
My brother is allergic to rice.
Oh, your brother.
Gosh.
How's that go growing up?
Asian are you that you're allergic to rice?
Yeah.
He eats it anyways. He's I don't care. I'm just itchy. I don't
itchy.
At this point, I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna.
What are you gonna
give
do?
Up rice. Yeah.
Jeez.
All right.
Well, thank you so much for being
Ed.
on the show tonight. We're looking forward. I think we're going to try to get to one of your shows next week, probably
7th, 8th, and 9th.
Be a Friday night.
Yes.
So thank you for being here. It was great talking with you.
Safe travels to Boise.
Check out his special, Candy and Smiley, on Amazon Prime, and look out for the new one. What's the website address?
It's kingedhill.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you for having me.
Oh,
you're welcome.
Good.
I'm signing out.
I'm signing off.
I'm Chris Adams.
I'm Wendy Mosier. # Get Toasted.
Stay toasted, and thank you, Ed Hill.
Hit the hype button. We'll see you next week.
See you guys soon.
Have a good night.